So good morning, everyone. And at the same time, I want to say a good afternoon to everyone because we're working according to 2 time zone at the moment. For our speaker, I think they believe it would be 12 in Nigeria at the moment, and we're 11 o'clock now. Thank you for being a part of this seminar today. And this is a quarterly seminar organized by the NES UK, and I would say we are a growing body, but we are not static and we are still growing. So you are highly welcome. Before I proceed, I would just like to welcome the chairperson for NES UK to welcome on board our speaker for today in person of Dr. Olushola Ajide.
Thank you so much, Secretary Dr. Shumajo. Good morning, all. It's a privilege to have all of us this morning. We are privileged this morning to have our guest, the chairperson of Nigerian Environmental Society, Niger State Chapter, in the person of Professor Nuhu, Bashar. And this morning he will be speaking to us. So we really appreciate your time, sir, out of your very busy schedule. As a director at FUT Minna, and we know that you are very, very busy. So thank you very much, sir, for coming. And we hope that when we call on you, you will come again, sir. Thank you. All right, Secretary.
Okay, thank you once again, everyone, for joining. I'm sure we're still expecting a couple of people to join us along the way, but that won't stop us from going. So as our speaker has been introduced, Dr. Wifa, you are welcome on board. Mr. Paul, Mr. Dalasi, Mrs. Lolade, you are welcome on board. And to our speaker, Professor, you are welcome on board again. So if you have any question as the presentation is going on, I will indulge us to just use the chat so that when it's time for questioning, I can just summarize a couple that looks alike and just present it to the professor when it's time for questioning. So the floor is yours, sir, Professor Mohammed Bashar.
Thank you very much. Good morning over there and afternoon here in Nigeria. It's a rare privilege to be part of you, and I most sincerely thank Dr. Olushola for his effort, the chairperson of UK chapter, in bringing me on board, and all other members that are really moving the society forward of the shore of Nigeria. It's delightful to be part of you. I would like to share my slides so that many will be able to follow me while the presentation is going on. So that, the title of the presentation is actually Environmental Impact of Single-Use Plastic Bags. Of course, the outline of the presentation is as follows. We'll introduce briefly and then also come on board on the issues and complexity of plastics bags, case study, and a little bit of global responses to this area of challenge, the challenges as well as alternative to plastic bags, then few recommendations, and then I will simply conclude. We're all aware of this Canada report in 2010, which obviously a little bit gives emphasis on green economy, looking at it as an aggregate of all activities operating with the primary intention of reducing conventional level of resources consumption, harmful emission, and minimizing all forms of environmental impact. The key emphasis here is to do with environmental impact. Of course, the green economy includes the inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes as they relate the production of green products and services. This obviously lead to the rationale for this presentation. Of course, as a famous environmental advocates, we look at the environment first as an essential part of man's existence, and also connected with the human being as well as the Center for Concern of Environmental Sustainability. And indeed, the quest for economic development and the byproducts of economic growth, the cumulative stress and environmental issues that are connected that lead to these degradations. So these are bases for the rationale of looking at this topic. Of course, here at home, we are concerned about robust environmental management with the long-term viability of the Nigerian economy, which obviously depends on the sustainable and responsive management of the environment, vis-a-vis most of the framework and legislative that have been put in place and treaties that were all involved. This leads us to the topic of the day, which is the plastic products, which are found everywhere. We use them every day in our homes, schools, offices, and during our travels in between places. Of course, later on, the focus will be on the 3 R's of Sustainable Development Goals, the enlightenment campaigns of reuse, recycle, reduce. These are some of, there are different forms of plastics. Of course, some are the rubbers of the one we package drinks and other things. Efforts are being made to see how such can be recycled here on Nigeria. But of course, the topic of today, we are particularly interested of the ones that are single-used, which means they are discarded immediately after first use. These are endemic in our cities. If you look at the rural areas, which the picture here at the bottom shows clean environment, healthier, because they don't use this kind of things. But in the cities, a lot of statistics suggest that plastic bags, of course, we all know they are biodegradable and they cannot, they don't, they are not biodegradable, and of course, breaking down into smaller and smaller toxic bits. A plastic bag can take between 400 to 1,000 years to break down into the environment. You can see this is a whole lot of issues and challenges as it breaks down. Plastic particles contaminate soil, waterways, and enter into the food web when animals accidentally ingest them. Of course, we're talking about plastic, and we may be interested to know what plastic do. Essentially, various research has proved that they may not be too harmful to human beings, but of course they are harmful to birds and other animals. Like birds and turtles are killed every year from plastic bags, that in the aquatic environment, as they often mistaken plastic bags for food. Plastic bags, once injected, cannot be digested or passed by an animal, so it stays in the gut. Plastic is an animal gut, can prevent food digestion and can lead to a very slow and painful death. These are that's why we look at single-use plastics as killer things to animals. Plastic does not seem to affect human beings directly. However, it can dangerously affect other animals' life and alter the environment, the air, the water, and the soil, cause hazardous pollution when it is dumped into the environment. Plastics are so versatile in use that their impact, their impacts on the environment are extremely wide-ranging, posing serious challenge for disposal. That's why we look at Ireland as a case study, which from various investigation prove it is the best case study you can see, where in 2002 began changing 28% of US for plastics. and bags, encouraging people to bring in such plastic bags and in exchange for paper bags and also money exchange, which is very good for really addressing this kind of menace. This green-free, reduced, non-reusable bag used by 95%, which is quite good, comparable to so many other areas. Now, nearly everyone in Ireland supports their community and proudly carries reusable bags. There are other success, results coming from other countries around the world. Of course, in 1999, many other countries, started taking drastic measures, and up to 2011, and you can see quite a number of countries that has made one law or legislative consign to do with control plastic single bags, and these are not mean the kind of other concurrent efforts have been made as we move on, but these are what we can really see that is happening globally. And in African country, you can see Rwanda has banned all polythene products. Tanzania too has banned all polythene bags. There's these are the leading African countries in this respect. So in taking drastic measures, and others, South American and Asian and other countries are all there for us to see. We may ask ourselves the challenges. What are they? Having created the issues that are really existing as it affects these plastics and some of the legislative efforts that have been put in place. We can draw inferences from existing researches that have been carried out. For instance, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, over 380 billion plastic bags, sacks, and wraps are consumed in the United States of America every year. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the US goes through 100 million plastic shopping bags annually. Estimated cost to retailer is about $4 billion. 4 out of 5 grocery bags in the United States are now plastic. And the average family accumulates about 60 plastic bags in only 4 trips to grocery store. You can see a huge challenge already coming out from these previous statistics which are available. And indeed, the cost of both the environmental damages and social impacts of plastics use in the United States is $75 billion. And about 13 billion of these costs are attributed to the negative impacts that plastic, specifically single-use plastic bags, have on marine ecosystems. Across the United States, local government spends between $3.2 to $7.8 billion annually on plastic litter cleanup and management. You can see the huge burden that this is created. These resources will have been channeled towards other productive areas that we can really see. And this is not all, because each year an estimated of 500 billion to 1 trillion plastic bags are consumed worldwide. That comes up to over 1 million per minute. Billions end up as littered each year. Of course, quite revealing information here. And wind-blown plastic bags are so prevalent in Africa that the cottage industry has sprung up, harvesting the bags and using them to wrap hats. And even bags, according to the BBC, one group alone harvests about 30,000 per month. According to David Burns, a marine scientist with the British Antarctic survey, plastic bags have gone from being rare in the late 80s and early 90s to being almost everywhere. This can be found everywhere in the environment across the world. Plastic bags are among the 12 items of debris most often found in coastal cleanups, according to the non-profit Center for the Marine Conservation. These are an array of challenges that cut across the globe, and as well as looking at how they impact on the economy negatively, and thereby causing a lot of concern and effort that should be put in place. By way of recommendations, in terms of reducing the use of plastic bags is a single action with huge impact, which can be seen in terms of other forms of creativity of creating biodegradable, single-use bags, which of course can easily, go into the environment without cost. So we can see that most across the world, you notice that customers are rarely asked whether they need paper or plastic, anymore, because paper is no better. People don't value it. They look at in terms of cost and effort. The plastic bags they consume high energy from production, use and disposal as well, high water and atmospheric emissions and things like that. These are just justifying the need for us to actually have a paradigm shift in the way we are disposed to plastic bags, which are single use for us to move to paper use, which are now affecting so many psyche of people, because paper must be turned into pulp when it's recycled, creating cardboard, not more paper. So all these are reusable easily, and they save the environment from all the troubles we go through. And of course, the justification is not far-fetched from quite a number of benefits that are accruable to this kind of direction, which I say we should have a paradigm shift. Of course, this can lead to a very good and healthy environment. And if you see how this look like, it's quite healthy, it's quite friendly in terms of use, because I always, we should be challenged to say, what about paper bags? Why can't we act locally while we think globally to address immediate environment, save the earth, and move in that direction? So therefore, designing eco-friendly, biodegradable plastics is the need of the hour. Though partially biodegradable plastics has been developed and used, completely biodegradable plastic based on renewable starch rather than petrochemicals have only recently been developed and are in the early stages of commercialization. So why don't we go paper, cloth, jotter, cans, etc. are the most preferable, but still controversial because of the appearances and how they are subjected to. But the key thing here is, how do we save our environment? To save your environment and thereby yourself, whatever goes around comes around. If we treat the environment very well, indirectly, we're also treating ourselves essentially very well. So we need to say no to plastic checkout bags while shopping, and buy reusable bags and bring your own for your shopping instead. Of course, we should encourage the use of glass, ceramics instead of plastics in microwave. Replace plastic travel mugs with stainless steel for hot beverages. When you can't avoid plastic, check container bottles for recycling calls in triangle with chasing arrows. Choose those easily recycled. If essentially you must use plastic so that you'll be able to really make a difference. what our own collective responsibility as the proactive environmental agents. Of course, we need to educate ourselves on the impact of plastic bags that have on our environment. And of course, this kind of interaction is key. It's part of the education. It's part of ensuring that we key into really helping to save the environment and prolong our lives. It's impossible to eliminate most plastic from daily life, but it's prudence for our health and that of our environment to curb the use of some. Overall reduction in plastic usage, proper management for disposal and public awareness will bring a great difference in our present situation. Therefore, we must advocate for separate store and hand over for proper recycling and disposal. This will help us in no small means to protect the environment. So therefore, we do not let plastic litter the environment so that we do a lot to prolong ourselves. Indeed, you can find and shop at stores that offer a cash credit for bringing your own bags. This is a way of stimulating the interest of people, encouraging people that shop to really carry on the recycling bags rather than the one that you just purchase anything, you move out and then you throw it back to the environment. With new plastic bags ban getting passed every day, more and more stores are offering cash credits for bringing your own bags. Therefore, we should identify them, recognize them, and promote such kind of things so that they will feel motivated as members of, as a body of Nigerian environmental society. We can really even identify this shop, give them some recognition, appreciation, or awards even, so that they can be stimulated in moving forward. And be sure that you ask next time you're checking out if your reusable bags can get you a discount. This can be a kind of embedded into our thinking cap in terms of interaction, in terms of moving forward. Where does this lead us to? It leads us to shaping the future, making a conscious decision to place sustainability at the heart of all decisions that are made connected to our environment. We need to shape the future. Look at how clean the other picture at the left side looks like, free from all kinds of things. You could imagine the kind of healthy life that exists over there. Why can't we put it at the back of our mind, wherever we are, at any space we find ourselves, to promote this kind of very healthy environment, very pleasant, and above all, sustainable, in being an agent of keeping our environment clean. This can start by each and every one of us contributing our single quota. We can promote legislations in this respect. In most of the in developing countries, we can partner with some of the states in Nigeria to encourage them, because Nigeria is yet to pass a plastic law. Out of all these things, there was just one time a kind of political statement was made in that direction. How do we concretize it? This is a challenge for all of us, so that we can shape the future of our environment and make it a better place to live in. By way of conclusion, I believe that majority of the single-use plastic bags are difficult to recycle. They create additional monetary and environmental costs, as bags must be landfilled. California, for example, spends $25 million every year just to landfill discarded plastic bags, and spend almost $500 million to prevent the entry of plastic litter into waterways. Therefore, limiting single-use plastic bags will reduce government spending on plastic litter, control and management of it. I will possibly end by making a statement that when you eat or drink things stored in plastic, is it plastic incorporated into you? Does it add to your thinking cap? Does it increase anything in someone? Is it the prestige or what? Why should we insist that it must be plastic? Why can't we just save the environment? Why can't we save the earth so that all of us will be happy for it? I most sincerely thank you for your time, for your attention, and I'm ready to take some comments and questions for us to discuss further on this important topic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Professor Mohamed Bashar, sir, for that brief, comprehensive presentation. Now we want to give a room for questions. Do we have people that want to ask questions, please? Now we have a couple of minutes to ask question, contribution to the presentation. Questions, please. Okay, Dr. Waifa, can you ask your question?
So, I mean, thank you very much, Professor Nuhu. That was indeed very enlightening. I would ask a quick one, because I actually have another meeting shortly. I mean, first is I would start off with a comment, because I've observed the use of plastics here in the UK, and I'll give you examples. When we Nigerians or Africans go into, say, UK shops, for instance, to buy things, we are charged if you don't come in with your bag. All right, so you know it's meant to encourage people coming in with bags or having to pay the price if you don't have your bags. So when I go to a Tesco's or Aldi, I would have my bag with me. If I go to an African shop, for instance, I would be given the same bag for free without having to pay. Now, I have not interrogated the reasons why. And I remember one time I asked the guys, normally we go to Tesco's, I will get this bag for, I'll have to pay if I don't come with my bag. And if I come to an African shop, you're giving me for free. And the response is, people don't want to pay for the bags in the African shop, but people pay for the bags in Tesco's. So I think, there is that challenge or that, struggle with shifting. There's an attitudinal shift that we're kind of struggling with, and I don't know the answer to that and how that would change over time. But to my question, how can we move and partner with organizations that would move the conversation beyond just academics to something that is a bit more practicable within homes in Nigeria? So what sort of partnerships do you think would strengthen that shift in Nigeria itself, and how can perhaps groups like us all work together to achieve such partnerships? Thank you.
Okay, moderator, do I respond to him or? Okay, yes, I quite agree with you. Possibly from the first part of your comment, due to high level of enlightenment and because organizations and shop sellers are trying to discourage, issuing out bags. That's why they ask you to pay in the UK and other places. In Africa, well, everything goes. This is what we're trying to address. Now, to the question on what sort of partnership can we really achieve in most of African countries, in Nigeria in particular? I think because of better synergy, this can start from operating at the community level, because we identify communities, work into them, enlightenment, advocacy, and then some shops within communities can be encouraged towards partnership to instill in them this kind of culture of saying, oh, if you come with your bag, you even get a discount. That's one of the things we're advocating. Even if, no matter how small, you will notice a slight difference in price can make people travel twice the costs, from one location to another. So if we're able to partner with the communities, these shopping malls, at the community levels, they could target certain market, and then encourage that will be source of attraction to their shop, and then it will go further than what we are talking about, and that would be the paradigm shift in our thinking ability, so that will stimulate the consciousness of people having to really discard the use of single-use plastic bags, and then making them to pay if they insist on plastic bags, whereas they get discount if they comes with their own, or they take paper bags. So these are ways it will be more practicable if partnership is stimulated at the community level, so that the impact will be felt more, because that's where people reside, and that's where it will operate better. I hope I've been able to address your concern.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you for that, sir. I will go to Mr. Ahmed. Can you ask a question, please? You need to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my question is, I know that in Nigeria, we have different professional bodies that always come together to address issues as to environmental quality or improvement of services. For instance, the Nigerian Institute of Quality Surveyors always coming to address issues that the Nigerian Institute of Builders always. Sorry?
Can you speak a bit louder?
Builders always come. Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, better.
Okay, like I was saying that in Nigeria generally, I know that there are different professional institutes or bodies that normally come in to address issues that has to do with improvement of quality of services in terms of environmental services. The Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors always come in to address issues that do surveying. The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners always come to address issues that do planning. So Nigerian architectures and the rest. What is the Nigerian Environmental Society doing to actually promote the use of plastic bags, the use of paper bags, to discourage the use of plastic bags? Because I know I'm a private practitioner, and what we always try to promote in the delivery of our service is we must change the dynamics of, moving waste from the cradle to grave, or from waste to wealth. But believe me, I am yet to see what actions the Nigerian Institute of Environmental Society is taking to actually inculcate this idea to the government and the people, so that we can actually achieve what Prof is actually talking about.
Okay. I think quickly to respond to your question, if you look at the governance structure of the Nigerian Environmental Society, it operates from the chapter levels up to the national level. And that's why the UK chapter is also coming in this respect. So we expect all the state chapters, for instance, to identify critical areas, taking this promotion of the use of paper bags, for instance. Now they can do smaller workshop, interaction, advocacy, even roadshow, to create consciousness. That's why we're looking at the future, because they connect to the people at the ground, so that the impact will be felt more. So yes, it is true we have many professional bodies, but each having unique something. And again, there's nothing wrong, because issue of environment has no boundary. It cuts across everybody. If we have a healthy environment, there's nothing wrong in body of professionals even coming together, through the stimulation of Nigerian Environmental Society, to see how we all join the crusade in advocacy in the promotion of the use of paper bags and to discourage single-use plastic bags that litter all our environments and create, unpleasant even environment. You need to see certain areas. I don't want to come up with some nasty pictures, not to discourage most of us, because I believe the problem is doable, is surmountable. I so much believe that, yes, in every project, we just need the enabling environment to really project it. So we need to start somewhere. Otherwise, the damage is so much that we need to encourage all the chapters to replicate this kind of seminar and also drive it further down to roadshow advocacy and even showing an example. They could partner with a particular big, or maybe in a city of Abuja or somewhere, identify a shopping mall that is the biggest where people patronize. Or within 1 hour, stay at the door, be issuing paper bags and encourage people the consciousness. That will kickstart the thinking, and then you wouldn't know where it will go to. It will be replicated somewhere. And then through that processes, we'll be able to achieve the paradigm shift. We'll be able to achieve substantially the promotion of the use of paper bag, which of course, even the other plastic bags, hardly people use it twice, even if encouraging them to come with it, so that let even this supermarket begin to charge some fees of these bags. It will discourage people. You'll see people coming with their bags. Even when people forget, they will go back home and bring them. When they go home, they wash it. So that prolongs that level of degradations, so that we will actually, all of us, be on the same page. So that's the way I think we'll go, using the governance structure of NES, everybody acting on the ground. And that's why I keep saying, well, there's nothing wrong thinking globally, but we must act locally. What impact do we do on the ground? What are the chapters doing? You don't have to be so large. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. 3-4 people can come together and change the shaping thinking of people. Where large shopping, even at the open market, go to the gate, the entrance, begin to display distance, begin to share distance. How much does it cost to make samples? You will see people replicate it. Look at the nose mask things, the locally made ones. It started like a joke. And when they started seeing leaders wearing it, and then at the state level, you partner with the government. When they see the governor, they see commissioners, they see the SSG and others using plastic bag and being promoted on air. Many people will buy into it. And that's the way to go.
Thank you for that, sir. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes, very well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I will take Dr. Ajide, your question now.
Thank you very much, Professor. It's been quite enlightening. And look at the huge amount of money we are spending, each government is spending because of the consequence of this reusable single bags. Now, my question has to do with, I watched a documentary some time ago in which they were using research, and the research has to do with using green peas to recreate something like nylon. It's edible. You can feed it. You can eat it, and it doesn't affect you. And that's coming from a research being done by a particular company here in the UK. So the question now goes back to our academic institutions. What is our academic institutions doing regarding research based on our students? We have students who are coming into the university, and we are teaching them these things. How are we spearheading? And I know I wouldn't want to go to the angle of saying, oh, there's no money. First and foremost, when there's an idea, if the idea is good enough, we have a global stage in which people can be able to, from any part of the world, you can seek funding. So what are our academic institutions, our institutes, our directorate, what are they doing to be able to live? Because if we don't have an alternative, people will not want to shift. Even paper as an alternative is not helping because of the destruction of trees and all those things. So the good thing is to have a renewable and edible or something good that will not have impact on the environment at all. Thank you. That's my question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that question, which is very apt and relevant, Doctor. And, yes, I agree with you. What are the academic institutions doing in terms of research to address these menace, particularly in a sustainable manner? Believe me, a lot is there in the archives. A lot of researches has been carried out. Unfortunately, there is a very, very wide gap between the academics and the industry. Most of these researches are there at the archives. Because the industry don't patronize the academic research institutions. Nobody is willing to endorse chairs. Believe me, recently in Minna, from the FUT Minna, we approached an Indian pharmaceutical company where we carry out some samples of the waste that is generated from that company and discover that it can be better off. There's a better way of discharge of their waste. They are not willing to take the results of some of the researches we have done. What can we do? And I don't think the fault is theirs. It's lack of the political will. Look at the way the institutions are being treated in Nigeria. Very unfortunately, no country in the world has ever developed without investing heavily in the educational infrastructure and in the education sector generally. No country, go and check it out. All countries that are making substantial progresses, you will discover that huge chunk of their investment is in the education sector. There is no way you can say you are addressing any issue to do with the environment or to do with any other sector for that matter, that you don't need research and statistics to address that. We were looking for data that to show with respect to even this plastic use in Nigeria. They are not available because efforts are, there's no political will to drive all these things. Look at how attempts is being made to localize the Nigerian university. What I mean by localizing them, university is universal. Now, how do you expect an expert to come in on sabbatical when you are now trying to straitjacket all the lecturers in one platform? This doesn't work anywhere. So the point I'm trying to make is that until we have leadership that is willing and ready and with the political will to encourage the usage of researches from academic institutions. Because yes, I agree with you, the fundings are there. Even from UK, UK, in terms of networking, we just secured a grant in relationship with the University of Lagos. And that's what we're doing in terms of addressing certain aspects of academic networking, even within Africa, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Some of these things are available within our own context. And of course, we don't expect any other person to come and develop your area for you. You must do a local research. You must provide local innovation, local solutions to address your issues. So for us to make meaningful progress, the enabling environment must be provided. We must have the right leadership. We must have the right legislation. If there's a right legislation that's compelled the industry to go back to the academic institution, to drive solutions to their challenges, absolutely there is no way we'll be where we are. And this is all there for us to achieve. So I believe that's why we're seeing it on the face of it, as if much effort has not been done by these academic institutions. No, a lot of researchers are there. And then towards the situation, some that have the intellectual capacity do not have the working tools, do not have the right infrastructure to drive this research to a logical conclusion. The ideas are there. Now, even if you depend on the foreign funding and foreign partnership, of course, when they see it to address their own particular need, they will just take away the copyright. And most researches we do with the foreign partners, the copyright is there that it belongs to them. So it means you cannot even implement it, you cannot even utilize it here in African continent. So we need to change our orientation. We need to believe in our academic institutions. We need to redirect the focus of our leadership. And we need to elect and have leaders that believe that education is the driver to the industry. Education is the driver to all attainment of growth and development of any nation. Thank you. I hope I've been able to address your concern.
Okay, thank you for that detailed explanation. A couple of points I've picked: changing orientation, focus, and everything you have said is just trying to portray the significance that the research that the academic industry actually do can actually contribute to the use of plastic use. So I have another question on the chat. It says, Professor, between legislation and advocacy, which do you think will be more effective in realizing laudable recommendation you have put forward? So probably, I don't know if that question is straightforward for you, sir. You are muted, sir.
Okay, it is straightforward because I always believe for effective discipline to be impactful, it must come from within, rather than being imposed. Legislation is about imposing it, but if it comes from within, people are used to it, people, respond to it, it is true advocacy. So I believe, but where advocacy fails, then of course it is not out of place to legislate, to enforce it. No, because we need to reach out, we need to get the buy-in, we need to promote for people to understand the need for it. Once people believe in it and have the buy-in and submit to it, it is more sustainable, more enduring, and that's the key thing. The first, advocacy, and if the second is legislation. Once we're able to advocate and people buy into it, or there are shortcomings here and there, then again, of course, because I know many countries that operate certain laws, it has become the norms without even a single act of parliament to back it up. But because the consciousness have aligned to it, there is that affination, there's that conviction, there's that belief that yes, this is what we want, and it becomes part of the system, and it is enshrined, it is sustained for eternity, and that's the key. And I hope that addresses what you have said.
Well, if there's no question, I think probably I have a question to ask you, sir. It's with respect to implementation. Probably you would think because we're in UK here, like Dr. Wifer said earlier, the issue is actually prevalent everywhere. It's just that it's more prevalent in less developed countries compared to developed countries. What recommendations will you have for implementation reasons? Like you mentioned earlier, he said you go to the white shops. We go to the white shops like Lidl and you are mandated. So either bring your bag, and if you don't bring your bag, you will have to pay. However, if we go to African shops here within the UK, whether you bring your bags or not, they still give you the bag to use. So what would be your recommendation?
Well, number one recommendation is to bring to their consciousness why they need to align with the thinking of the West and the practicability of subsidizing, even giving discount. And they need to encourage people to come with their bags rather than giving out all these bags in multiple folds. And then again, you need to, it's still change of orientation. We need to reorient the thinking ability. I don't know whether it is peculiar anywhere an African is. The thinking is almost the same. But then we need to take it straight. We need to understand the danger we're doing to the environment. We need to understand what we stand to gain, the loss of resources. We need to also understand that better things can be done with the wastages, the leakages that is being suffered from this kind of attitude. If we're able to do that, then we can really move forward. And then we need to also let them see the benefits, because there are a lot of benefits from it. If you are doing things willingly with interest, you drive some joy even within you that you're contributing to the healthy environment. You're contributing to the better society. So there is this fulfillment people get once you participate. And also on the part of those who patronize these shops should be encouraged to insist in coming with them, even when they are going to be given, and then refuse to collect. So once people refuse to collect, they still come with theirs. It will also change the orientation. It will contribute to them appreciating that yes, something is wrong with this. So let us do it this way. And that's why I keep emphasizing that there is a greater role for the chapters of the Nigerian Environmental Society to be in the front advocacy for all these things. There's nothing wrong identifying these African shops by even the nurse can go there and interact with them and then tell them that this is the direction of the world and this is what is essential for the environment. And we needed to really create a better environment for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir. I don't think
I hope I've been able to address your concern.
Sure, sir. I think it's more of orientation, like you said. We need to just fix ourselves. Yes, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you. I think like you have just said, I think it's more of orientation. We just have to orient ourselves. We need to adapt to the change, which is really important for us.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any other questions in the chat. I want to thank everyone for coming once again. Our time is almost used up. Thank you for coming, and I hope in the future you will still be glad to join us with any seminar we actually call you for. I will just hand over to the president of the UK chapter to just have a closing remarks.
I want to thank you very much. Thank you, moderator. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Professor. We are really, 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 I know we have been on this back and forth,
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. And I noticed the national president is on. Let me seize the opportunity to also thank her for her effort.
I'm not sure she's the one because when
thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming.
What?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your preparation, your time. We know you are very busy, so we are very grateful. For everybody, I thank you very much for, is that madam? Then please talk. No, talk. Please, unmute her. Because of the headgear, I didn't see. Unmute her, bro, Doctor.
I'm not going to say much except to say that I really do appreciate everybody on this seminar because it is really a means of educating
so that's my national
sharing information, sharing ideas, and also Professor Nuhu, you are over there in the UK. You didn't tell me. Well, it's one environment, and I'm happy that we are having this cross-fertilization of ideas. I'm actually at the bank, but I remembered and I saw the effort made at reminding us about the webinar. I came in a little bit late because I was doing something else for the Guardian newspapers. But I would like to just encourage us not to relent on our efforts in making sure our name, NES, becomes a household name and the go-to place for anything environment. Interestingly, this is the topic I caught the latter part of the discussion. We talked about, I think, carrier bags and plastics and reusable. And I'm sure we all know that FEC has approved the plastic life cycle policy in Nigeria. And so this is a project waiting for us, really and truly. So we also should start looking at programs tailored directly to that policy. It's something we've all been discussing at one point or the other. So I'll stop there and say thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, National President. We are grateful that out of your busy schedule, you're able to attend. Thank everybody, and we hope that you would continue to be the change, that each of us can continue to be the change. And as we go on, let's begin to look at opportunities. Like Prof rightly mentioned, we should not wait for the government. One person can be the change. Two persons can be the change. And we can change the thinking faculty of people, we can change the behavior, change what people believe in the society. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. We hope to see you on our next event. So bye and God bless. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.